Thank you so much for listening to another episode of CX Chronicles Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Brady Chazan. My friend Rick for joining us in this segment. For those of you that don't know Rick, you have to check out his podcast, the CX Passport Live. Rick does some incredible interviews with these incredible customer-focused business leaders from across the world, and he really gives a different look in terms of how all of these different companies and different leaders are thinking about not only customer experience, but just running a business in today's world. So huge thanks to Rick for joining us on this. We had an absolute blast in Austin, and I look forward to seeing what Rick and his team at EX for CX and the CX Passport do in the near future. Today's super exciting, guys. We're at XDay 2024, brought to us by our friends at QuestionPro. I have the pleasure of my good friend Rick Denton here, who is another fellow customer-focused business leader who does an incredible job interviewing, meeting with, and just curating all these incredible stories from awesome folks across the world. Rick, thank you so much for joining me today, my friend.
You have no idea how excited I am to be here. Not only because of the great event, because of QuestionPro and XDay and all that. I'm excited to get to finally meet you in person. Like, this is one of the, we actually enjoyed having a cocktail at the Driscoll Hotel down here in Austin. And that sort of, and the third thing is, this is where I grew up. So I love being in Austin. So yeah, I'm genuinely excited to be a part of this today.
So yes, we got to enjoy our drinks last night together. Now we're here today enjoying XDay. So Rick, a couple questions. Number one, what are you most excited about today at an event like this? Like, if there's like one or two things that you're pumped up or that you're eager to learn about today, or that you're eager just to kind of, I don't know, just to get kind of submerged in, what was it? What are some of the things that we're going to see today?
Yeah, so I'll give you almost more of a general answer first, and that is, I love bringing people together, being a part of being brought together with a community of folks that have a similar mindset around how can we learn what our customers are thinking, feeling, doing, and then do something with what we learn. And so just the conversations in the hallways, just getting to hear about, oh, wait, this company, you're doing that way? Oh, that's interesting. Maybe we can do that in our company that way. The relationships that get built at an in-person event like this are so valuable. And then I'd say even more kind of detailed is there's some really good content in today that's going to help get real specific around, okay, as AI is influencing how we understand our customers, as we learn more about driving towards that actual honest-to-God action, aka tangible business results, that's the kind of thing that I'm looking forward to getting out of today.
Yep, I love it. You're right, because like what people forget and what a lot of us have lost over these last couple of years with the world being a little bit different and remote and a hybrid fashion is nothing compares and nothing is as good as going and meeting with other folks in your field that focus on a similar type of craft, exchange ideas. Today we're learning about a bunch of different ways that QuestionPro can help different companies or help their customers. But there's also going to be conversations in all of today's breakouts and in all of these different events and all these different presentations that aren't really even about QuestionPro. They're not about the technology, but it's about things that people are struggling with their customers on, things that people are trying to learn more about with how to get better at employee retention, things that people are just trying to learn more about how they can think about product optimization, product set. And you're right, like nothing beats just getting into a place, especially a dope place like this. We're in the Thompson in downtown Austin. Like,
oh no, don't make me be here. How awful
this sucks. We have to be here in Thompson all day. So like, I love some of those ideas.
And there's some, let's stay on this for just a little bit, because I think it's so important to get back in that in-person kind of mindset. And it is when I'm having a Zoom call with most folks, you and I are totally different. We will actually just turn on the camera and we'll just start talking about any sort of stuff. Typically though, when you're in a business context, there's an agenda. There's a reason why you're having that call. There's a reason why you've joined that webinar with 200 people or whatever. When I'm standing in the hallway out here, that reason isn't necessarily what the conversation centers on. And you get a much wider spectrum of wisdom and conversations by being in person, because there's just more time around. Simply that. There's more time around the edges. And as humans, we just kind of talk about stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, and it doesn't feel, you're absolutely right. It's not almost like forced, or it's almost, I mean, there's sometimes it's called what it is, guys. I know that our listeners and the folks who are watching this right now, everybody knows what I'm about to say, but like, sometimes just having a freaking conversation over a coffee and a churro is so much more organic and natural and easy to converse and to be just real and to be candid than when you got to get on the 30-minute Zoom call for an intro or a disco, or maybe you're doing a follow-up with a prospect, a lead, or a teammate. So you're right, just having like this in-person, in the flesh type of experience is a game changer. In this next segment, we talked to Scott Steele, Program Director at Morgan Murphy Media out of Newman Lake, Washington. Scott has an incredible story and has been working in the radio business for years now. He's got a ton of information around what the world of broadcasting entails, and he's got a really interesting way of getting some of us people that are working in the customer experience and customer success to think about how the radio business has always thought about this. Scott and I met the night before this interview, and we had an absolute blast together. And I told him, I said, Scott, you have to come on the podcast, and you have to talk about the things that you've learned as a program director at Morgan Murphy Media. Scott Steele, thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Adrian, thank you. I appreciate you.
Scott, tell me a little bit about, so like, number one, you presented here today at XDay. Is this your first XDay, my friend?
This is my first XDay.
Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you and Ken and Sean chatted through in your presentation today.
One thing me and Ken talked about is the world of AI, on how AI is slowly coming into radio. One of the things I talked about was this DJ. I don't remember her last name, but she goes by Ashley. They made her this AI Ashley, and now AI Ashley is the very first AI radio DJ in the Portland market. And this started about a year and a half or so ago.
Okay.
I mean, don't quote me on that, but I know it's still fairly recent on how a radio DJ can be controlled by AI with the voice. When we first heard some of these examples, I don't know Ashley. I don't know how she sounds like in person. But, if I were to talk to you for many weeks, many months, or much like Ken talk to him for many weeks, many months, and then I heard an AI version of him, something just wouldn't be right. Laughter, the cadence of somebody's voice, but now the technology is being lightning struck. It's going by so fast. Now the audio is getting so much better in a good but almost a scary way. Like with AI in any form of business, we use some forms of AI to really help in our commercial production side of stuff, to where we don't have one voice in every single commercial. That one singular voice can upload a 30-second piece of dry audio to this AI program that we have, and it could kick out the exact same cadence as a female voice or as a different male voice. Or even if I were to upload something that sounds a little bit like this, they put it through a voice called Wayne, and it sounds exactly like Sam Elliott.
That's crazy.
To a T like Sam Elliott.
That's crazy.
I mean, you're not going to talk fast into a microphone like this and have Sam Elliott come out. That's not the way he talks.
Right.
But, if you're able to get your voice close enough to it, this AI program can actually make it sound like almost anybody that you want.
That's crazy. All right, let me ask you something, Scott. Being in the radio business for all these years, are you pumped up about this?
Oh,
Are
absolutely.
you scared about this?
No,
Are
no.
you nervous about
Nope.
What is your general sentiment? How do you feel about where this is going to be going?
Someone once told me, actually, I think it was my co-mentor other than Ken, Gary Allen, who's been in radio. Actually, he says he's celebrating his 45th year in radio. Actually, he just retired, but his 45th year in radio. And he always said, don't be afraid of technology, but learn it. Someone still has to control the technology. It's not going to be like, what was it from Terminator? The T-1000 and, that system taking over and having to be not a single person. No, you're still going to have somebody that's going to have to run the algorithm. Someone that's got to run the AI. So I would much rather be at the forefront to figure that out, just to make myself more valuable with Morgan Murphy Media, and try to improve upon that to make AI a tool, not the actual person, but a tool to make everything better, to make your research so much quicker.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, I like scrolling around the internet finding news and stories, but if I could literally hit a button,
just get it
and it instantly
100%.
comes up, and I have all this text, like, okay, thank you for digging through every social media account, every Twitter, every X, every Facebook, every LinkedIn to get me content to talk about. I can then talk about it in a personal form over a radio or over one of our podcast episodes.
100%. I love it. And dude, it's funny, even in my line of work, with some of the companies that we're working with, you'll take, for example, let's say before you get on a customer call, back in the day, you might have to go through, to your point, a whole process search, right?
Correct.
Looking at their LinkedIn, looking at their website, trying to figure out some info. If it's a public company, you're looking at some information about their market performance. You're looking at understanding some of the ebbs and the flows of business. Nowadays, I teach my clients how to use a tool called Perplexity, where you would literally pump in Morgan Media Group, pop it in, click enter, and what used to take 37 minutes of pre-call prep, now you got the top 10 things you got to know before you chat with your buddy Scott. And things like that are like, so yeah, they might sound threatening or they might be a change. No, humans don't like change. We all know this. Humans never like things to change.
Exactly.
But like, that's a change I don't miss. Taking 37 minutes to do, to your point, to do it in advance. I enjoyed it too, but like, why would I do that if I could have a tool that just aggregates it for me and then lets me focus on the conversation with Scott? Like,
it's like some of my farmer buddies. They always say, work smarter, not harder. You know, use the technology there to make things better for you, to make you more efficient.
In this next section, we welcomed Mike Byrne, the author of the upcoming book, Re-Experience, that will change everything that you know about experience design. Mike's going to introduce radical new insights on how re-experiencing, not just living, shapes the decisions that matter most. I had an absolute pleasure chatting with Mike. He has all of this incredible past experiences, and the upcoming book is going to be fantastic. So for some of our folks in the CX Nation, we'll keep you posted when Re-Experience comes out, but enjoy the conversation that I had with Mike Byrne. All right. Mike, thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
I'm Mike Byrne. I'm currently an author, writing a book about experience design with Viv, the founder and CEO of QuestionPro's.
Mike just got out of a presentation here. We're at XDay. We're at QuestionPro's XDay here in Austin. How did the event go that you just did right there, or the presentation that you just did on Re-Experience?
It was great. It's the kind of, this is the non-controversial amuse-bouche of the subject. The book itself is like an abattoir of sacred cows.
Okay.
Because
elaborate on that for me.
So this came about because there's so many things that people assume to be true because we've been told it for so long. But when you start really looking into it, it's not. It's kind of like there's used to be a geocentric view of the universe, which is everything revolves around the Earth, and and that was prevalent for I think 1,500 years, and then someone came along and said, actually, I think the sun's the middle, and we're going around it, and it was like, what? So you've got these kind of ideas that are pervasive and tenacious and ultimately unworthy. So we're addressing some of those ones that just aren't true. And it's not that people are bad, people are dumb people. It's just like we built them on assumptions that were true, I guess, at the time, and now with new knowledge aren't. But a lot of that new knowledge is not permeated into kind of this experience space in the business world.
Outside of your presentation today, what were some of the things you were pumped about for XDay 2020?
I think just looking at it, it's, I put a joke slide in that just said the first slide had AI written on it because what the book is about, it's actually not about AI, which is just radical in itself. But it's obviously such a new thing that's going on, and it's infused in everything. It's just like, okay, what's the TLDR on this? What's real? What's not? Where's the hype? I'm just kind of interested to see what people are saying because, as I say, we're not about AI. We're like the exact opposite, which is, in some ways, questions AI. Because a lot of the things that are in the AI are based on these untruths in some ways of that's not how people work. And it's really, our book's about humans, this very base way that humans work, and not AI. And if you don't understand how the humans work, the AI is not going to work either. So there's parts of that lived experience of a plane, right? So things that you really need to know for your experience. What gate you're at is super important, right? Right? And then what seat you're on is super important. So when did you last fly?
Literally to get to Austin.
Yesterday? What gate did you go through?
Good. I don't remember.
No idea, right? So there's this situation, right, where you're going to be told in CX that every experience matters. Clearly not.
It doesn't.
Because there are key things that are very important to that customer journey. The gate that you're going to. It's like one of the most important parts of flying is getting to your plane that you have no And it's like, I can guarantee that once you'd even gone past that gate number down the skyway to the plane, you had no idea what the gate number was.
Forget it. Yeah, you forget it. You never think about it again.
You've so many of your experiences entirely transitory. And yet what we're told in the industry is that every experience matters, and that's how they form an opinion.
Yep.
Bullshit.
Yeah, super interesting.
That is clearly not true.
Yeah.
So, what we talk about is de-experiencing is super important. There's so much of that journey that doesn't matter. And, you very deliberately make people forget stuff. It's okay.
Yep.
And just what are the highlights that really tell your story? And, that's kind of which bit of the story you're going to re-experience when you're making decisions. And so much of it is just like, it cannot be. Or people will inadvertently do that. So another thing you'll hear people talk about is, seamless customer experience, and it flies by and it's super easy, which is great. And what do you not do? Remember it. It's totally forgettable. And therefore, but the problem is we know that re-experiences are the things that drive decisions.
Yep.
So if you never remembered it, it didn't happen. And it doesn't influence my decision.
Yep.
So you can have a company that spent an absolute fortune making a super slick lived experience, that flies by without, so fluent and it's so easy. And it's totally unmemorable, which means you don't re-experience it because it never happened to you, which means it doesn't weigh into your decision-making process at all.
In the next segment, we talk to my friend Ken Peterson, president of CX at QuestionPro. He also joined us on episode 188 of the CX Chronicles podcast. Ken has over a quarter century in helping clients succeed through customer experience research across retail, technology, hospitality, financial services, automotive, and transportation industries. Ken knows everything there is to know about CX and is just a downright awesome guy. Really enjoyed the conversation with Ken, and huge thanks to him for including myself and CX Chronicles in XDay 24. Take a listen to what Ken talks about here. I'm super excited for this next conversation. Mr. Ken Peterson, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. So this is one of the men that is making this whole event happen today, guys. So I got to ask you, if there's like 2 or 3 big trends or themes or just the recurring items that you're constantly having to kind of answer questions about some of these meetings you're telling me about last night, as it relates to how companies are thinking about leveraging AI, whether or not they understand how to even think about, like, what are like the common things that you're sort of answering around what that looks like, and then what are some of the common things that this year you and the QuestionPro team had to like get down and dirty with your customers on, trying to, like, to your point of showing that, yeah, sure, the solution can do all of these things, but your team still needs to understand how to do other parts of running this business. Like, what are like?
And I think that's one of those things where, I mean, everyone talks about AI. I mean, it's like the term du jour.
Totally,
it's like, and I mean, even in my presentation today, I'll get in there and I'll say, hey, it's all about AI. Guess what? Look at the trends. This is what people are talking about. It's there. I mean, people are talking about it. But 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I remember everyone talking about blockchain and how it's going to impact customer experience. I'm like, blockchain is more of a counting, ledgering software. So it's not, I see all these companies saying, oh, we're going to leverage AI, we're going to leverage AI. So it's great that these companies are talking about it, but what are you going to do with it? I mean, having an AI tool that spits out some of the same stuff. I mean, some are talking about, oh, well, it'll fill in missing data. Well, who cares? I can just go with the data that's missing and then just analyze what I have. But that analysis, taking that to the next level, and one of the great things that we've done at QuestionPro, we have a BI tool now that can look at the data and just say, here are 10 charts that you need to know.
Excellent. And so it surfaces insights for the users. Nice.
And we're taking our CX, we have a CX on the go app, it's called. It used to be just the CX mobile reporting. And what it used to do is show dashboards on a little mobile screen, and you're like, who cares? I remember one of our competitors came out and said, oh, we can now do a priority matrix on the mobile reporting app. I'm like, who cares? That mobile reporting app is for the front line. The front line doesn't need, we don't want them to analyze their data. We don't need them to have statistics degrees. We need them to have business management degrees.
100%.
And we want them to take actions based on what we tell them. So we're actually taking our mobile reporting app and I'll say dumbing it down with the goal of saying, hey, when you open the app in the morning, here are the 4 things you need to do. Focus on this area with recommendations.
Love it.
And contact these 3 people because they complained last night. You know, that's what that mobile app should be.
See, when I hear you say that, you made the comment earlier, but like all these software companies promise all these things. What I just heard you say right there, Kim, is like the minute that some of these SaaS solutions can start helping with a CTA management, call to action management. And whether you're a salesperson, a customer success person, a support person, a product person, an analyst, you get up in the morning to get to work and you get your coffee and you get ready to log in for the day, and you have like a top 3 or a top 5 CTA list sitting there in front of you based on all the good shit that just happened yesterday or the week previous. That's a game changer, man. That's like, you're literally getting pointed focus areas or what to go spend your day or your time on. It's a win-win for everybody's my point.
Yeah.
For our last section, we talk with the Director of Marketing at QuestionPro, Crystal Wiese. Number 1, Crystal did a fantastic job of managing this year's XDay 2024. She was the mastermind behind pulling all of this stuff together. It was generally a really, really good time. I kept telling Crystal the entire time we were in Austin, like, how can I help? What do you need from me? What can we do? And be honest, guys, Crystal did a dynamite job of managing a million moving parts. And what's funny is, guys, me and Crystal talked about this in our conversation, but she has taken event experience and brought it to another level. I joked with her, I said, Crystal, you're going to have to start building an event experience type of business in the future. Take a listen to mine and Crystal's conversation as she talks about some dynamite things that not only she's thinking about in the world of marketing, but all of the things that she focuses on with QuestionPro. All right, Crystal, thank you so much for joining us. This is the woman who has been one of the mastermind around all of these incredible things. Number 1, the people that we've been able to have on the show today, the people that we're interviewing, all of this incredible stuff that's happening here at XDay in Austin.
Forgot we were recording
this
it.
Is the lady who is doing everything here. So, number 1, awesome job.
Thank you.
Number 2, thank you for joining us. So let me ask you, now that we're getting towards the end of the day, I know we still got some stuff to go. What's been some of your favorite parts of today? Now that you can slowly start to relax a little bit and enjoy some of this, what's been some of the highlights of today for you, or what have been some of the things you've been most excited about today?
Okay, well, one of the highlights is I never thought we would have the chief analytics officer for Fox quoting our CEO, Vivek Bhaskaran, from the stage, referencing his talk from this morning. And as someone who's sitting back and trusting that all these people I brought together, right, that I've vetted, that I've tried to curate for the people here, it is a surreal moment in the 5 years I've been at QuestionPro to see how we've grown, and then to have that happen felt just like a super surreal win moment.
Yeah, big time.
And then something weird that's happening is people keep coming up to me and saying, "Oh, you're Crystal from the emails." And I'm like, yes, I send you emails to come to our conference.
Right.
And I thought it was very normal because, like, I get emails for conferences.
Yeah, right.
But what I do is I go, "Oh, I got an email for this conference. That's a fine email."
Yep.
And I go, "How could I do this better and make it QuestionPro, which we're like 10% irreverent?" Is kind of how I kind of tip us.
Yeah.
And if I was to get an email, why would I even want to come to this thing that I signed up for?
Yeah. Yep.
And so I try to approach it that way, and I never thought anyone would notice.
Well, it's a couple things. So, but think about it. A couple things. Number 1, putting yourself in the user or the participant journey is part of why this thing's so badass. And this is why it's such a great event. I'm serious because a lot of people don't take the time to put themselves in other people's shoes. Think about how they would ingest that type of message, what that message might make them think, how it would prepare them for all the awesome stuff that we're doing here today and this week in general here in Austin. So I think it's amazing that you have done that. And then on top of it, you're right, there's a lot of events and a lot of conferences that don't necessarily take the time to do the curation you just mentioned. Like, it's not just a product of like pulling a bunch of awesome dope people together and letting there's like, it's almost like there's matchmaking happening here, man. You're trying to figure out how to match the right people at the right times, in the right crowds, in the right rooms. And then we got hundreds of people running around here today, so that complicates everything. So it's been a dynamite job. Absolutely thrilled to be here with you guys and to be collaborating and to meet so many incredible people for joining us. And thank you so much for doing this with us. Yeah. You did a dynamite job, and we can't wait to see what you guys do next. Thank you so much.
Join us next year.
Thanks, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. XDay was an incredible experience. The team at QuestionPro is building some incredible technology and solutions for customer, employee, and market research-focused individuals and product leaders from across the world. I was incredibly grateful for the experience of being in Austin and meeting with all these incredible people. And I know this is a different show from what we normally do at CX Chronicles, guys, but I really hope this highlights all the different ways that people are thinking about pushing the future of customer experience and the future of technology, the future of product into the future. Thank you for listening to another episode of the CX Chronicles Podcast. We're thrilled to have you as a part of the CX Nation, tuning into customer-focused business leaders from across the world. Be sure to check out the CXC website, and as always, find us on any of your favorite podcast players, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and more. Thanks so much for making this show a reality and being a part of the CX Nation. And as always, folks, remember to make happiness a habit.